Well, hello. Hello and welcome. Check 1, 2, 3. Okay, looks like we got everything that's supposed to be happening. Let's see, what have I missed? John's wife is with us today. Wow, impressive. Thank you. Glad to have you. And Giles is here, and 422, and John, of course, and Mike, and Rich, and Dave, and Merle, and Martin, and Henri, and Blaze, and 180. Oh, and Tommy, of course. Good. Sounds good. Video good. Good. That's always good to know. All right. All right. And audio is okay. Good. You know, that's audio's hard. I think audio is harder than video, frankly. Because audio, one of the things that I think keeps video from being so hard, or keeps me from making mistakes with video, let me put it that way, as much as I do with audio, is that once software like vMix or VidBlast or Wirecast has secured an audio device, it won't let anybody else touch it. I mean, a video device, but with an audio device, anybody can grab it. You can have as many different uses of one audio device as you want. So if you end up routing it around someplace and it gets a little delayed, suddenly you have an echo. Syncing audio with video is harder. Yeah, well, do you sync the audio with the video or the video with the audio? Just a thought. Just a thought. When you're having trouble sleeping tonight, think of that, and it'll put you out. They tell me audio is not important. Ah, that's good. That's Mike Phillips from North Carolina. Mike is I think he's a patent attorney and a former radio engineer. I think he may be an electronic engineer too, actually. And he is the audio guy. He helped me get my audio set up 4 years ago, I guess, almost now. And it was coming from a zero knowledge audio background. I mean, I'm a logical guy, and audio is just a giant logic puzzle. But there's certain things about it that unless you understand, you're just not going to understand. And mixers were just Greek to me at first. All those buttons and rows and columns and ew, not good. Okay. I can see John's wife has got a sense of humor like mine. This is going to be a fun show. Actually, this is going to be a rotten show, I'll tell you right now. I am so woefully unprepared for this show. I had family in town, and they left. Some of them left yesterday, one of them left this morning. So it's been no show prep. I mean, even less than normal. So, and my voice sounds like it's gone. It's because we stayed up late and we laughed and we just had a great time. The mix master. Well, I'm the mix minus master. I got that one. And the more I learn about vMix, the more I realize that really a lot of the functions that I count on a separate piece of hardware to do, I can now count on for vMix to do. And I can see, I think I'll mention this in the show later, I can see moving away from a mixer altogether. Now, in a sports situation, it might be different. Although I don't know. I'll have to think some more, think it through some more. We've just started doing some streaming at my church. And, of course, I've had my hand in it. And so, there were lots of different ways to pull the audio in. And the church has got a Behringer X32. I think it's the compact version of that big electronic mixer. And we just simply took an out off of that. And I was going to bring that into another mixer so that I could have some control over it. I realized after a time or two of playing with it that I didn't need a second mixer. I just got a little adapter that adapted the XLR to a stereo 3.5 millimeter or maybe you call it a 1/8 inch jack. And so I plug straight into the size of the laptop. Did Rooney settle the dispute with the squirrel? Yeah. Yeah, actually, he and his buddy Jake, our other Jack, caught a what do you call it? A mole over the weekend, and the mole made the mistake of burrowing into the wrong backyard. Oh goodness! All right, Gavin, Chris, welcome. Let's see, Edward, welcome. How are we doing on time? We got a few more minutes. Okay. All right. Glad to have you guys here. Yeah, Rooney's going to make an appearance today. It'll be a little bit more than a cameo, and we'll see how it goes. You know, you just never know with a Jack Russell Terrier. NDI compatible or not, you just never know. But actually what we're going to do, well, I don't want to tell you. I don't want to say that yet because I'll give away what the show stuff. Let's see. Let's put this back on, shall we? Yeah, there we go. And I'll put this on. And I better move that over just a tad so I can see what I'm doing. Well, I thought we could move it over. There we go. Got it. Got it. Oh, Martin, all good. Now, Martin. Oh, that's right. It is an audio switch. Yeah, Martin has got the audio switcher, the automatically controlled audio switcher for vMix. Good job. Giles says, with Voice Meter Banana and vMix, you can pretty well do away with a mixer in many situations. I think so. I think so. You know, I've been using, and I've got it here on my desk. I can't show you. I guess I have a camera here, but anyway, you know what well, you may not know. Let's see if we can pull this camera out just temporarily. And come on, cooperate, camera. There we go. And this is a Behringer UMC 404 HD. And it's a 4 XLR or 1/4 inch input. And that's the only part I really care about, that and the fact that it connects to the PC via USB in the back. But it brings the 4 channels in separately. So you have 4 separate audio channels. And that's what Martin is using in his studio, to bring in 4 separate audio channels and to have those channels be able to control the switcher in vMix. And so the idea is that if you've got 4 separate audio channels, you can monitor those audio channels and then use those as a trigger. But with a mixer, a conventional mixer, you end up with, you know, well, as many audio channels as you choose to bring in. I guess you could use a bunch of mix minuses and bring in different microphones on different line ends. But this seems to be a whole lot simpler. We'll see. The Banana, I'm using virtual audio cables today for part of the setup with Rooney. And I haven't ever used Banana. Frankly, it was a little confusing to me, and I couldn't find a good video on it. So if somebody knows a good video on how to use the Banana, I'd love to see it. An audio superior system. I like that. I like that. Oh, goodness. And Chris is behaving, or at least he's giving the illusion that he's behaving. Those Brits, I tell you what. Okay, let's see. Checking on the list here. Bill in Texas is here. Welcome, Bill. Jerry's here. Welcome, Jerry. And who is Rich is here. Rich numero dos. Looks like that's it for the moment. All right. John realized the other day that he didn't need the banana when using vMix. I mean, taken out of the context. That one really goes crazy. Okay, how are we doing on time here? All right. So let's see. Let's bring up the news here. Okay, we got that one, and then we got this one. August? Yeah, August 2nd. Mark that date down because we're going to talk about that. Be with you here in just a second. I'm just checking to see if there's anything important there. All right, well, not really. I hate it when you go to a page and they decide they're just for the heck of it, they're going to start playing a video. Unless that plays a video too. Goodness gracious. All right. Okay. Today, YouTube is about 12 seconds behind. That's doable. You know, it's not the 3 seconds that a flash stream will give you, but it's doable. Welcome to Canal 13 TV. Glad you're here. Who else has slipped in the back door when we weren't looking? That looks like it. Glad to have Gavin here today. That's good. Okay. All right, so make sure. Oh, I gotta cover up for those of you that are first time or maybe second time. This is kind of what my studio looks like in real life, and that translates to this shot right here. With the green screen, but I've got to do something with this desk back here. I don't mind having the laptop here because that's actually part of the production, but the desk is just my regular work desk and it's just a mess. So I'm actually going to cover it with a piece of green cloth. You can see the green cloth right there at the edge. So we'll use that to cover the desk so that it is not out there in the middle. So if y'all will excuse me just for a sec, I'll be right back. I'm not really going anywhere, but if I'm not careful, I may pull everything off the table. Well, huh. That's interesting. That's not at all what I was expecting. Okay, there we go. Okay, let's see how we did there. That looks pretty good. Okay, that's what I'm looking at right there. And the desk is gone. Yay. All right. Scott, welcome. Glad to have you. All right. Yeah, wireless is the ticket. Unfortunately, I can't find a wireless that I want to pay money for. At least not yet. Let's see. 12 seconds, Chris, I think is kind of the max. Any more than that, and you know, it becomes intrusive to kind of keep bopping back and forth to subjects. Chris, then I'm going to sell you guys vMix for $10. And Jean is here. Welcome, Jean. Jean was one of our very first custom PC customers up in Canada. Welcome, glad to have you. Let's see, who else might have slipped in when we weren't watching. I think that should be all of us. Oh, Guido's here. Welcome, Guido. Guido Hogstetter. All right. Good. Yeah, I need to ask you, Brits, about this little vote thing that went on last week. There's no real-time live feed yet, right? Yes, that's right, Jerry. We're about to get into it. We are literally about to get into it. Okay. And now the Brits have to pay import taxes. In addition to the VAT. All right. One sec. All right. Let's give this thing a shot, shall we? Let's give it a try. I did find out something interesting this morning. Oh, golly. I need to redo my chroma key. Look at this. I've got a stripe right across my shirt. That will never do. Sorry about this, guys. Color key. Did that take care of the stripe? Appear to. Okay, good. I am stripeless. And Rafael is here. All right, he's finally on time. Yeah, Richard, it could have been a new fashion trend, but I decided to go back to the old gold, tan, yellow shirt, depending on what lighting you're watching me in. And the question I had earlier is I'm using the phone. This is the web controller in vMix. And these buttons start and stop streaming and start and stop the recording. Nothing fancy, but I just wanted to have something here so I didn't have to turn around and mash the laptop the whole time. And so I wanted to see if this would work if vMix was not the active window. I've got another window up, which I think is Task Manager, because I wanted to take a look at that. And that was the active window, and I wanted to say, and now, golly, will it record in vMix if Task Manager, if vMix is not the active window? And the answer to that, the answer to that question is yes, it will. Unfortunately, the buttons are not, what would you call it, reactive, interactive. They don't reflect what's going on in vMix. It's just a button. It sends a one-way signal. And so if you see me glance over at some point, I'm glancing over to make sure the recording is actually recording. I just don't trust it. Okay, enough of that. Let's queue up and get going, get this show on the road. So we will fade to black and get the show open queue right up there. And I'm going to cut my mic for just a second, and hopefully all goes well. I'll be right back. Hello and welcome. I'm Tom Sinclair, and this is Streaming Idiots. Somebody asked me the other day, why Streaming Idiots, Tom? Come on. But I said, so much of this stuff is so, what's the right word? Not idiotic, I know that's what you were thinking, but it's, they say things are more of an art than a science. Well, that's the way the streaming business is, because there's so many different variables. And in order to get them all right, it's a little here and a little there, and depends on your setup. And what in the world is he talking about? Who knows? That's why we call Streaming Idiots the Streaming Idiots. If you're watching us on YouTube, you're probably ready to click the channel to something else, but hang in there. It'll get better. It probably won't get much worse, and we'd love to have you subscribe, but we thank you for tuning in. And for all the folks that are tuned in live today, you're going to be sorely disappointed once again. Why you keep coming back is news to me. We were supposed to have Stephen Haywood on today, and I know that's why so many folks are here, because I would have shown up to watch him. But Stephen could not make it. It's going to be August before he can get here. So we won't be streaming live the entire time. We'll have to stop the stream today, but we will have Stephen on. And I was kind of hoping we could have him on today because Wirecast 7 was just recently released, and Wirecast 7 is a long-awaited upgrade to Wirecast. Wirecast 6 is like a year and a half old. And, you know, Wirecast 6 was good. It was a great improvement on Wirecast 7, but, excuse me, on Wirecast 5. But Wirecast 7 has got some, I would say, sort of some basic improvements to it. It doesn't have anything really that I would call as a keynote improvement or a keynote feature. Now, they added Facebook, the Facebook streaming integration in Wirecast 6. So if you're a Wirecast user and you're using 6 and you want Facebook, well, you don't even have to pay for it. It's right there. But there are some basic improvements in Wirecast 7. They have reworked the GPU use so that it even accelerates the encoding even more than before. That has helped to improve the CPU utilization, so things are a little smoother in that sense. And they have a graphic output statistic that you can monitor the health of your CPU and your memory, and bit rate and things like that. So it helps you kind of see where you are in your streaming. They do have a high resolution ISO and a instant replay in the Pro version, and then you know, some of the things are basically just, I think, just little tweaks here and there. They've got color correction and video video delay, and the ability to bring in a solid color as a background and screen capture. But some of those things have already been there or you've been able to work around and use those. So what remains to be seen, which is not in this edition of Wirecast 7 that is out today, but is NDI. NDI was promised, in fact, one of the Wirecast, what is he called? The product manager, I guess, for Telestream that handles Wirecast was on Broadcast Now last week, I believe, and basically said that NDI into Wirecast would be what they called a dot release. That is, it wouldn't be at 7.0, but would be 7.1 or 7.2 or something like that. So if you're a Wirecast guy and you're looking for NDI, it's in the pipeline. Apparently it's out there in beta with some folks, but you should be seeing that shortly, and that would be good. I mean, everybody getting NDI is a good thing. The more compatibility that we have using NDI as a common key, I think will make us all more powerful in what we're doing. Having said that, you can tell that there's more powerful on one hand, but what do we call this Windows 10 mess on the other hand? I've not been a Windows 10 fan from the very beginning. Windows 10 free upgrade, thank gosh, it ends next month. You will no longer be annoyed by these little things that pop up on your desktop to say, get Windows 10, die like the rest of us. No, I already upgraded to Windows 10. Actually, I've got Windows 10 on 3 machines, and my wife's got it, so it can't be that bad. But August 2nd, mark this date. August 2nd is when Windows will be but releasing a major update for Windows 10. So prepare for computers all over the world to sizzle and crash and burn on August 2nd, 3rd, 4th, 5th, and 6th. If you know how to turn off Windows updates, I would encourage you to do that. I'm going to go through and make sure all of mine are off here as that date approaches, because I don't want that update, frankly. I may get it, but I don't want it installed until I hear what's going on with everybody else. Microsoft's reputation so far is screw up, fix it, screw up, fix it, screw up, fix it, and sometimes the fix are screwed up. So if you're counting on your production PC for a critical application, don't allow it to update to Windows 10 until you know. Now, I'm sorry, the August 2nd major update to Windows 10. Now, obviously, this big update is going to come after the freebies are over. So if you're interested in the freebie, you've got till July 29th to download and install Windows 10 on your 7, 8, or 8.1 machine. After that, you're going to have to pay $119. Frankly, I don't have Windows 10 on my production PC here. I'm tempted just to pay the $119 in like October when everything else is worked out, and not risk a an August 2nd crash and burn. Already done that, already crashed and burned. I'm looking in the chat room right here, and it says Windows 10 and vMix works well for me. Well, except the last update, which totally trashed my PC. Oh my goodness. And somebody says not everyone has implemented NDI. Yeah, well, it's coming. It's coming. NDI is going to be ubiquitous. Since Stephen Haywood could not be here today, obviously, we had to find another guest of equal status or better. So I think we were able to find a guest that could come on and at very least take Stephen's place. And we have warming up in the proverbial bullpen our guest today, and this is live from an undisclosed location. We want to bring back one of our best friends is Rooney, the NDI compatible Jack Russell Terrier. Now Rooney is he's actually, from what I understand, he is in a dog bone factory right now, and he is was invited there as a special guest. They're opening a new wing of the factory, and so they needed somebody to come help them dedicate it. So Rooney took advantage of some of his newfound notoriety and has flown out to this dog bone factory and is helping them. And actually, this really is coming in on a remote PC. Rooney and I, when we were talking earlier today, said that we would do it by Skype, but when we hooked up by Skype, the video quality was so poor that we couldn't do it. We couldn't do it. And so, and if Rooney tends to jerk a little bit, he's just shifting position really, really quickly. Don't pay any attention to that. So Rooney is actually, yes, you probably figured this out. Rooney is not actually live. Rooney is not actually live. Rooney is actually, this is actually a video clip of Rooney that we took earlier. This video clip is playing on a separate PC that is running not Skype, but running Zoom. And Zoom is going out to the internet, and then I'm going out to the internet. We're meeting up and coming back together, and the video quality is pretty good. This is what Rooney looks like. This is the feed coming from Rooney. Pay no attention to that man under the green sheet. And Rooney is a sport, you know. He's a good guy. He will do just about anything. Look down, Rooney. Look down. Come on, you can do it. Look down. That a boy. Good boy. Okay, there we go. So that was Rooney, and then of course we set up a special shot for Rooney so that if he wanted to just speak on his own, he could have this special shot. You can see more of the factory floor back there. He's on the catwalk right up above. So that was going to be the big Rooney interview. What I found, and it's interesting that the vMix guys just released a tutorial on how to do Skype with vMix and use two PCs. I am actually, I mean, we're not counting the remote PC in the closet over here that is that Rooney's running on, because that's going out to the internet. But what we're doing here is I'm doing a screen capture of the Zoom window on this PC. And let's see if we can just bring up the display so you can get a feel for what that'll look like. So let's add real quickly. Sorry, I should have had this all set up. And let's try that one more time. Yep. So much for being prepared. Golly. You would think after all these years. Okay, this is the second monitor on my PC, and that's the window that Rooney's coming in on. You can see the chat here, and even if I cover up part of the screen, Rooney is still available. You can see the audio mixer from vMix. I'm monitoring the feed here with Task Manager, and also have, let's see, what do we have back here? We've got the other Zoom window. This is actually what's going to Rooney. This is what Rooney sees right here, so we'll make that a little bigger. That's what Rooney's seeing. He's probably confused by it going to infinity there, so we'll drag that back out of the way. But this is the Rooney shot that we are capturing. And then we're just cropping it down as we needed to, and then doing the chroma key thing with it. And then, of course, this is what the main screen looks like. And we can go ahead and cue up that shot, because that's our next shot right there coming up in just a second. Now, the issues in bringing this in, that the vMix guys were bringing it into a second PC, and the reason for that would be is if you've got any second PC, if you've got your grandmother's PC, you can probably bring in a Skype on that second PC. Either use the free vMix Basic SD, or spend $60 with me and buy the vMix Basic HD, and then bring the audio and video from that into Skype, enable the output, which makes it NDI compatible. It flows over the network back to your main PC. But let's say you have a situation like I do, where I'm going to use this PC over my shoulder here as my streaming PC and my recording PC, and it's taking a lot of the load off my main PC. So I can bring my Skype feed into my main PC with little or no impact. Let's see, let's go back and take a look here what the CPU use is. CPU use is running 35 to 45% right here. And this is sending an NDI out to the second PC, bringing this Zoom, we'll call it Skype for the sake of argument for the moment, bringing the Skype feed in here. The only real tricky thing was bringing the audio in, because in this situation with Zoom, and let's see if I can bring up that Zoom window again. That way you guys can see. With Zoom, which is similar in some ways to Skype, I've got a control down here, which, oh, I see you guys can't see. It's one of those windows that pops up and you can't see, but basically it allows me to configure microphones and speakers. But a speaker in Zoom becomes a microphone in vMix. And so, I mean, let me put that a better way. If I've got a speaker in Zoom that's sending audio out, that's not recognized by VidBlaster, by vMix, as a microphone. It needs to find a microphone source like my mixer or something like that. So what we had to do is we had to use virtual audio cables, which is a great little piece of software that basically hooks up all sorts of things virtually. And so we sent the output from Zoom to virtual audio cables, and then since virtual audio cables is sort of bi-directional, that is, it doesn't matter which way the signal travels on it, it can be assumed to be a speaker or a microphone. So vMix sees it as a microphone. So if I hook it up to the speaker here and to the microphone here, now I have a mic input into vMix, which is the audio from Rooney. And in this case, let's see if we've got, yeah, we'll turn on Rooney's audio for just a second. There it is. That's Rooney's audio. Rooney has got this wonderful theme playing in the background. And then for us, we're sending Rooney back our audio, which is just the audio that's picked up from my mic that's just out of the screen here. And that goes back to his PC as a speaker in Zoom, and he uses the same process if he wanted to bring it into vMix for any reason and broadcast on his end. Otherwise, he can just listen to it. So he's using vMix to. Are we using vMix? Yeah, I guess we're using vMix on his end just to play this video and the audio that goes with it. So the video and the audio are coming as outputs on vMix using the external outs. So this is a separate way of doing a Skype call on two PCs. In this case, the two PCs are probably more evenly matched in terms of power, and that would be CPU and graphics card. In fact, I think this remote PC, it probably has a better graphics card. That's got the 970M, and this has got the 750 Ti. Just because it does. Just because it does. So let's bring Rooney back in one more time and let him take a little bit of a bow here. We might see Rooney a couple more times in the future when we need to illustrate some things. We might have to do a better job of a green screen there. But for a 5-minute, let's put this together and make it work, it came out okay. Good boy, Rooney. Good boy. Okay, go chase a squirrel. You're done. Yes, you're done. All right, good old Rooney. There we go. So, if you're making notes, and again, I anticipated having a drawing for you, but got caught up in too many other things that didn't really work out. On my end, the only out of the ordinary connection is going to be the audio connection between Zoom and vMix on this one same PC. And in that case, I needed virtual audio cables. Now, some people have said there's something called, I think it's called Voice Meter Banana. And if I'm incorrect, the folks in the chat room will correct me here in a second. That is also a similar kind of virtual audio ability to hook things together that wouldn't necessarily be hooked together. You wouldn't necessarily hook a microphone to a speaker jack. It wouldn't do anything. But in this case, we need to send an output to an input, so the virtual cable was the perfect thing. Yep, VN Banana. Thank you, says Giles in the chat room. So, depending on your situation, if you've got what I would call lower level PCs, you might want to run it on that remote PC, Skype or Zoom. Frankly, I think Zoom does a better job with the video part of this, consistently better. I was Skyping with Tim in the vMix offices in Australia last week, and I think we Skyped a couple of times, and Skype was only capable of producing decent audio a portion of one of those times. And it wasn't just because it was a long distance from here to there. Rooney and I had the same experience this morning with Skype, in that Skype was just not cooperating. And you would wonder if like Skype is owned by Microsoft or somebody like that would put out a Windows 10 product. But I digress. I digress. Coming up on Streaming Idiots in the near future, again, we're going to have Stephen Haywood up here in August. We had Rudy Ellis on last week. Rudy's the CEO of Switchboard Live, which are the makers of the really cool product called Joycaster that allows you to stream multiple streams. And one of the things that Rudy said that they had a new feature coming out where not only could you restream, not only would they allow you to send them one stream that could be restreamed, but that you could send invitations to friends that had YouTube accounts, and you could use their YouTube account to pick up your stream too. And in fact, we were going to do that today, and again, got sidetracked with something else and wasn't able to put it together. But so far, I have 6. I have 6 folks that have volunteered their Skype channels for that. So you'll be getting an invitation from me, if not this weekend, early next week, and maybe we can put that together for next week so that we can see this, not only me to several, but also each of those. So it would be my YouTube channel, my Decast channel, my, what was the other one I think we were using? Maybe another Decast channel and maybe another YouTube channel anyway. And then have the ability to stream to other people's YouTube channels as well. That's pretty cool. And it may just simply be as easy as getting that key that YouTube doesn't want you to share. And then you just pop the key in there and you can stream it as many times as you want. Maybe it's not such a big deal, but it seems like a big deal to me. So that's going to be pretty cool. Let's see, what else did we want to cover? We got Steven, we got the restream stuff. I guess that's about it. That's about it. If you're watching us live, hang on. Come on in for the virtual refreshments after the show. If you're watching us on YouTube, we thank you for watching and making it this far. One last note, just kind of full disclosure, and I should have mentioned this at the beginning of the show. I am an authorized vMix reseller. I also resell for VidBlaster and PTZ Optics and Magwell, as well as design and build custom streaming PCs for folks that need those PCs that are designed especially for what they're doing. We've got several on the drawing boards right now for clients all across the U.S. So if I can help you with that, or if you're struggling through some of the growing pains of getting things streaming and you think you've got most of the pieces together, but you're not sure what you're missing, feel free to give me a call. EasternShoreBroadcasting.com is my website. You can get my contact information there, or you can shoot me an email, tom@EasternShoreBroadcasting.com. If you'd rather do the email thing, that's fine too. But a phone call is always welcome. So that's it. That's it. So reminder, if you're watching us live, don't go anywhere, because I think John's wife is providing refreshments today. She's one of our newest viewers, and we want to give her a shout out and say thanks for watching, and you got to bring refreshments. How about that for a not very good welcome? Anyway, we're just teasing. Love having y'all with us today, and we'll see you again next week on Streaming Idiots. Thanks. And we are out. Yes, we did. It did. Stopped recording. All right, so John's wife says that she's giving us a different kind of refreshment today, apparently. Oh, goodness. We won't go any further on that one. Although Rooney would sniff around on that one, I can imagine. Yeah, good old Rooney. Good old Rooney. Now, the beverages are, the refreshments are virtual. So you can bring in anything you want. People have sent us pictures of peanuts and all sorts of other things. Caviar, lobster, anything your little heart desires. Anything your heart desires. So, good old Rooney. I think we're going to drop the feed on Rooney and tell him that we'll catch him next time. We'll end the meeting. And he'll have to take a break. So we're getting some of the husband's cider. Giles wants the spiced rum. And Dave wants no pictures. All right. Getting a little wild in the chat room, I can tell. So how many of you folks, I was going to say guys, but you know, with John's wife here, and I didn't notice if Jill had come in. She's not with us this week. How many of y'all, show of hands, are Windows 10 folks on at least one PC in your household or in your business? At least one Windows 10 PC in your household or your business. I guess I got to raise my hand because I've got a couple. It's not on my production PC, but it is on my my streaming PC, and the two Skype PCs are all Windows 10. And then my laptop that I do email on is Windows 7. And it's funny, it's not even Windows 10 compatible, but it gets bombarded with the Microsoft options to upgrade to Windows 10, and it wouldn't do it. So it looks like we got a lot of folks. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Martin K's now got 2. Rich has got several at home and church, and they work great. Giles has got everything on Linux, but except for vMix. Dave's got 2 PCs, but not on his video PC. Interesting, interesting. All right, how many of you folks are Windows 7 on your video PC? Now, here's the last question. How many of you have had problems with Windows 10 that has made you reluctant to upgrade or nervous because you've already upgraded? Rich still doesn't trust it. Chris had a Windows 10 upgrade failed on 2 systems. Wow. Edward's got Windows 7 on all his vMix PCs. Tried and true. There you go. I'm liking that. Windows 10 is far superior. Interesting. Okay. That's from Giles. John said he's had problems. I'm not sure which question he's answering. I probably answered him too quickly, and this 13-second delay is getting a little... Rich started on Windows 7, but Windows 10 has made them much faster and stable. Really? Interesting. Yen's got errors on Windows 10 when launching vMix, something with the NVIDIA drivers. Yeah, those NVIDIA drivers, they're not as bad as Blackmagic because they work, but boy, sometimes they can get kind of wonky. Tommy can't get Corel Video to work with Windows 19. I understand that completely. Martin K is keeping 7 on a couple of PCs at least due to old software that I suspect might not work. That's a good plan. John, update from 7 to 10 failed on 2 out of 7. Wow. Mike, all updates for Windows 10 on all machines, no issues. Rich is going to load 10 when 11 comes out. I think the secret is to do a clean install of Windows 10. I think you're probably right. Tommy meant Windows 10, not Windows 19. Chris thinks that in his case the NVIDIA drivers were the problem. Yeah, I think you're probably right. Giles says, I think the key is to have a fresh install of Windows 10 plus vMix, then it works really well. Also to remember to disable the Windows 10 update service. Absolutely. If you don't know how, Google it. Windows 10 says, Blaze, no problems at home PC using vMix for streaming, all okay, and the computer seems to be a bit more faster. Merle says, clean install is the trick. Well, I ended up doing a clean install quite by accident on my Asus laptop over here because I was helping a client update his BIOS so that we could get the Bolt 4, which is our Windows 1 device that you can put 4 cameras, you can attach 4 cameras and bring it in via Thunderbolt as if it were built into your PC. With the new Thunderbolt 3 came out, we were struggling to get the converter that StarTech makes that converts, well, yeah, here it is right here, that converts Windows, not Windows, that converts Thunderbolt 3 to Thunderbolt 1 or 2. We were struggling to get that to work, and so had to update his BIOS. He has an Asus ROG laptop similar to mine, so I was sort of following along, and I hit some key, and everything crashed, and I couldn't. It wouldn't even go to BIOS. It was that bad. And so after 2 or 3 days of struggling with every fix I could think of and every fix I could find on the internet, I finally just reinstalled 10. And that was I think it was an 8 or an 8.1 that had been upgraded to 10 by me shortly after I got it, because I thought 8 was just atrocious. And when I did the new install just off a thumb drive, it went straight to 10. It bypassed 8, went straight to 10, found its own key, the Windows key, and has been wonderful. I don't know if it's any faster than it was before as a 8 to 10 upgrade. But I know it's faster when I put the SSD in it. That made a big difference. John, on the 2 that didn't install, a clean install worked. On the streaming PC, I eventually made a clean install because of hard drive failure. I understand. Rule of thumb for production is to stay on a 1- current version software. That's true, unless you're me. All right. Martin K. on his new laptop with Windows 10, he's been pleasantly surprised so far that everything he's loaded has worked, including Audition 1.5, Premiere 5, a very old Photoshop. Wow, that's cool. John Clean, 10 plus vMix works really well if you kill Windows Update while doing any important stuff. Yes. vMix needs a Linux version. Interesting comment. So says Mike, so says Merle. There's a trick to enter the BIOS on Windows 8.10. Hold down Shift when shutting down or choose Reboot. Yeah, I tried that. I wish it would have worked. It was a weird problem. It was a weird problem. And at some point you finally say, you know, I think, frankly, it was the main drive lost something somewhere. Why that was preventing the BIOS from coming out, I don't know. Anyway. we got it fixed. That was the important. Tommy stepped back in time, enjoyed the old mill video. All right. Thank you. Well, I guess the question is, well, it's not really a question, but, oh, Tommy's talking about something Giles did. Giles, you want to post a link to that? That'd be great. VJ Mikey's here. Welcome. All right. Guido wants to know a little bit more about Switchboard. Okay. Switchboard.live is the name of the company. I mean, switchboard.live is the URL. And Rudy Ellis, their CEO, was on last week. So if you go to our website and look at the latest shows, you can see last week's interview. But basically, he's got a product called Joycaster, Joicaster, that allows me to send him one stream. And in what we did last week is I sent him a 720p feed. So that was 1280 by 720 resolution, 30 frames a second with audio. And he would take that and restream it to different CDNs. So if I wanted it to go to my YouTube channel so that you guys could watch it on your phone at 144p, which YouTube will do, or you can watch it at 720p if you want to, which YouTube will do, but with a 12 or 13 second delay. Or, well, not or, but in this case, and I sent a 720p feed to my Decast flash service, which has a 3-second delay. And I also sent a 180p feed to my Decast service, which is their HTML5, so people can pick it up on their phone. But that has like a 35-second delay. I think that one didn't even work. I think that one failed. And so the idea is that if you like to be able to send your stream to a lot of different places in hopes that people will find you and watch it. For example, there's Daily Motion, and there's StreamUp, and there's, of course, Facebook Live. There's Blab. There's StreamMe. There are lots of them. And some of the, especially the free ones, kind of tend to come and go. But what happens is little communities sort of form around them. And those little communities are people that, let's say it's Blab, for example. They'll go see what's on Blab tonight, or they'll go see what's on StreamUp tonight. And so if you're there, they might watch your show. And it's just a numbers game. So if you're streaming to your main stream and then 5 others, and you get 1% action on all those 5 others, then you may pick up 50 new viewers or 500 new viewers, whatever 1% might represent. And so it's a pretty neat program. I mean, it's definitely a niche, but I think it has its place. And that is Switchboard Live. All right, so let's see what I missed. Jens pre-ordered a bird dog. Ooh, that's cool. Only today and tomorrow for the pre-order discount. Bird-dog.tv. And I have no idea what they're talking about. Oh, you're welcome. Glad to do it. Glad to do it. And Jens, when you get your bird dog, I'd love to hear. Maybe you'd like to come on the show and talk about it, and share your experience with it. That'd be pretty cool. I mean, it's pretty pricey. I mean, it was like $600 or $700 here in the U.S. just to connect the camera to the network. Good. Good, good. Oh, Kent's here. Welcome, Kent. Glad to have you. Sorry we missed you earlier. And who else? I guess that's it. That's it. $5.95. Okay, $5.95 is the special price. I think $6.95 was the regular retail. But, you know, expect that if that thing appears at all popular, that the first customer, you know, the first person to buy one is somebody with black magic. Or maybe Magwell, or maybe Yuan, or StarTech, or, you know, folks that are kind of in that business of adapters and connectors and converters and such. And if they can reverse engineer it and say, well, you know, these guys are charging $600 for something that only costs them $45 to produce, then we can sell it for $400 and make a killing, as long as we don't get tapped for using their patent technology. We'll see. But yeah, it's, you know, it's always the R&D on the new ones that come out. The very first, the early adopters pay for the R&D. But I expect, and depending on how the cycle goes, but I would expect within a year of the release, I mean the sale, the official sale, not just a pre-order, not just an announcement, but the actual release of the product, Bird Dog, that within a year there will be a competitor out that will have reduced the price by at least $100, maybe more. And here's the thing, you know, Jens will buy one at $600 because he wants to be the first one on his block to have one. I do too. But if it's priced at $200, let's just say, for example, if it's priced at $200, I might buy 3 of them. You know, Martin K might buy a dozen. You know, Kent might buy a couple. Whereas if they're $600, I'm not buying any. Martin may not buy any. Kent may not buy any. But are they NDI? That's the word. They are. You plug your camera in here, and an NDI comes out here. Plug the camera in, plug an Ethernet cable in. It finds itself as a device on the network, number one, and that it finds itself as an NDI device. There are several SDI or HDMI to UTP converters for way less than that. Ah, interesting. Interesting. UTP, of course, is not NDI. VJ Mikey says the reason why I pre-ordered the Bird Dog is that you can plug all the UTP plugs in a hub to my laptop without having to buy a capture card. Huh. I don't think I understand. John would rather start to see some cameras with direct NDI support, not an add-on box. Did anyone else think of PTC optics? Yeah, they're working on it. Or, you know, they say they're working on it. I assume that they are. Sorry about Chatwing. And if I'm Canon or Panasonic, well, of course, Panasonic already said their cameras are NDI compatible. As long as you have, as long as you have NDI Connect, they're compatible. But that means that you've got to plug that Panasonic camera into a PC that's on the network. Well, duh. You know, the Magwell capture cards are compatible then in that regard. The idea about compatibility is that you take your network cable and you take your camera or other device and you plug it in and it works without a PC as an intermediary. That's what we want. We want a device that has NDI firmware already in it. Chatwing is bad device. I don't know. I understand that. The one I have is pre-NDI, so it would not have NDI. Yes. Good question, John. By the way, Tom, how fluid is the remote control of the PTZ cams? It depends on what's controlling them. How about that for a quasi answer, for a non-committal answer? For example, and I've been playing with this recently, so I know. vMix has the capability to control the PTZ cameras with a kind of a, I guess you would call it a push-button mouse joystick kind of thingy, and also the ability to make presets. And then you click the preset and the camera moves to the shot. But neither of those are very smooth. In vMix, you have the ability to slow down the pan and tilt and to slow down the focus for your live control, but that slowing down process doesn't adapt over to the preset. So if you let's see, I can't show you because I don't have a PTZ cam on this at this point, but I've put in a feature request on the vMix forum under feature requests for additional camera control. That is the ability to slow down the pan and slow down the zoom. And the other problem that we have with it, John, is that the PTZ cam, at least with vMix, it wants to do its horizontal motion and then it wants to do its vertical motion. It doesn't do a diagonal, at least not with vMix. Now, maybe it will do, and there is a diagonal setting on the mouse joystick thingy, but you know, that's a 45-degree setting, and you know, if you're at 69 degrees, it's not going to go there. It's going to wiggle back and forth. I understand from the PTZ optic guys that's something else they're working on, is that kind of smooth control, but I haven't heard a whole lot about it. So until I hear more, I'm going to say it's something they're working on, but it's not as high a priority, say for example, as NDI. Now, as for the direct hookup to the cameras with the controller, I can't speak to that one. I haven't ever used it. Although Kevin has. Is Kevin in the chat room today? He could tell us. No, he's not. We'll have to get him on and let him tell us about that. Going back to Wirecast, have I tried version 7 yet? No, I haven't. I want to see if they'll send me a copy to take a look. Joystick in vMix. Well, actually, there are two different joysticks available. One is you can connect an Xbox controller up to vMix, up to the PC, and it'll be enabled in vMix as a controller for the PTZ camera. And the other is that there's just a little pad, and you can take your mouse and press the little buttons for up, down, right, left, and then diagonal in vMix. So it's a kind of a joystick. Not really. Good night, Chris. Are you going to be at the IBC in Amsterdam? I wish. Not this year, though. Maybe next year. There you go. Rich says, we use an Xbox controller on vMix for our PTZ optics cameras. We have several presets that move rather quick, read not very smooth. But with the Xbox controller, it can be very smooth. Oh, that's cool. That's good to know, Rich. I might see if, do I have an Xbox? Do my children have Xboxes? I could steal their controllers. So it's basically down to the controller with vMix. That's interesting. Good comment, Rich. Thank you. All right. What in the world? I have no idea what Giles and John's wife are talking about, but that's okay. Don't need to. So I need to find an Xbox controller. Wonder if it matters which Xbox controller. How much could an Xbox controller go for? Well, there are only 11,000 listings on eBay. How about lowest first? Buy now. And these are all parts. I'll have to look through that later. Looks like there's a whole repair part section that you can get repair parts for not a lot of bucks. All right. Oh, Giles is talking about Land Rovers. Gotcha. Proper cars. Okay, GameStop has got a $29 USB basic Xbox controller. Awesome. Yeah, the interesting thing about the PTZ that I've found, John, is that number one, you can connect the PTZ straight to your PC. You don't even have to go through a network card. You just need a crossover cable, and so then the PC, then the camera is available to anything on the network, or it's just available to that PC that you need. So with vMix, any PTZ cam on the network is available. It's just not available NDI. I don't know that I said that very well, but that's the way that I'm using it. Dave uses a wireless Xbox controller for his PTZs. Awesome. Dave, are you using it through vMix, or are you using it a different way? Yeah, and is it Xbox One or 360, or does it matter? Looks like Rich says the USB basic controller is the ticket. Martin's going to be at IBC, spending some time helping Madgewell, but also looking for anyone doing a live show who might appreciate some help. Well, there you go. Our problem is that we need to put the camera in the middle of an oval track. There's not room for a normal camera operator, and we can't have cables crossing the track. I love it. I love it. John, I think that sounds great in theory, that a PTZ camera, a car battery, and a directed high-speed Wi-Fi would do the trick. But I would sure want to test it before I showed up at the track with it. And Dave says they use external software. Okay. Thank you, Rich. Good show, he says. Always a great time here. Well, it wouldn't be as good a time if you guys didn't show up. I'll tell you that much. So I got to get me an Xbox controller. Apparently you can get them from China for $10 or less. That's wireless. But I guess the nice thing about buying it locally would be if something happened, it broke, you could take it back. All right, John says I probably need to put the camera in the middle of an oval track. And then later on he says, oh, John's wife says, yes, so we need a camera on a gimbal mounted in the ceiling above the track. What kind of track is this? Interesting. All right, Rich. We'll catch you. John has already done a lot of testing with AC Wi-Fi and NDI, and it works well. Wow. Be interested to know if the AC Wi-Fi, John, would also work for the controller part of the PTZ. Roller derby. Oh, of course. I knew that. All right. Gotcha. Yeah, when you said oval track, I'm thinking dirt track or asphalt. But I would think you could run wires under the track to a post in the middle, although they probably don't want a post in the middle. Mikey says that he bought the Orbit, but it doesn't look that professional. Well, you know, who cares if it works? Okay, what else we were looking for? The good controller for vMix, the X Keys has made that controller that has 500 buttons and a T-bar on it, and they're actually going to send me one, but they're out of them, and it may be 3 or 4 weeks before they get any more. So I'll let you guys know when that comes. All right, Giles said the AC Wi-Fi didn't work for him at 1080. That's interesting to know. Looks like I'm seeing wireless Xbox controllers for under $20 on eBay. I guess you get what you pay for kind of thing. The X keys do have the lights, but as of today, vMix does not have the ability to change the colors of the lights. But I understand that something like that might be in the works. Oh, the track is painted directly on the floor. Oh, I gotcha. Gotcha. I was thinking the roller derby where they had the wooden track. Okay. Interesting. Interesting. There's a Danish guy that developed a controller similar to the hardware controller that vMix made from themselves. Demo here. Aha. Gotcha. Let's see what we got there. Yes, I have seen that before. Did he ever get it into production? All right, Rich. Good to see you. Well, good to have you. Didn't realize there was a difference between roller derbies. Fascinating. So there's flat track and then there's banked. Is one more preferred or deemed more professional than the other? I guess, though, that roller derby has become kind of a community sport now, right? Not just kind of a quasi-professional sport. John had problems with NDI. A bad switch. Uh-huh. Or an older switch. That makes sense. Okay, looking back here. $29 at GameStop for the USB basic Xbox controller. Basic Xbox controller. GameStop. Okay, that's a wireless one. $29.99, $34.99, $39.99. Cool. Now, a wireless controller, I guess it just has a USB USB receiver. Yeah, Jens, that was my recollection too. I remember seeing that video a year or more ago. Did you ever think to buy a Black Magic ATM? No. Maybe so many problems over Wi-Fi. Consumer Wi-Fi has too much inter-package latency. Aha. Giles looked at the ATM before vMix. vMix wins hands down. Aha. John's wife has never seen Bank Track roller derby. Boy, when I grew up, that's all there was Bank Track. I watch it on TV on Saturday mornings. There's an international organization for flat track. Wow. That's cool. That's great. Great that you've got a sport that's so popular. That's a great one to be involved in. Because I can't tell you how many folks that are watchers of this show, either live or recorded, and correspond with me and tell me, you know, that they're doing the national championships or the regional finals or whatever because they were there and were known to be doing it. All right, Guido's using a hybrid with the ATEM and vMix. Switching the cameras and vMix doing the graphics and streaming. That's a good solution. But Guido, what's doing the recording? Is vMix doing the recording too? In Canada, roller derby happens on ice rinks during the summer where there is no ice. That's interesting. The beautiful thing with roller derby and vMix 17 is that the most widely used scoreboard system is a browser-based system. Aha. So yes, you've got the browser input, absolutely. Cool. Very cool. Well, do they have roller derby? And I guess it wouldn't be called roller derby, but do they have roller derby on ice? I mean, really. And John, I would think it would be great if I were doing something with the browser input and then suddenly vMix announced that they were doing it. And I think the one thing missing from that is keyboard input from the web. What do they call it? The input, is it web browser? Yeah, web browser. There's no keyboard input. It's just mice at this point. All right. Yeah, John's wife says over here we are members of the Swedish skating something something, so we often play in ice rinks in the summer. Aha. Some people have tried playing roller derby on ice. It's not easy. I bet. I bet. All right, Guido says YouTube does the recording, and that's fine for the purpose. The camera records off course. These are used to make edited clips for the original footage. That way we have more control about the separate clips we publish after the event. I can understand that. I'm a big one for, and this probably would shock you guys to believe this, but I mean to understand this. You hear me say it, but I don't believe in editing. I believe in whatever you got. Whatever you get is whatever you got is whatever you get. That's what I say. Whatever you got, that's what you get. On the other hand, if you need a sophisticated browser input, you just run a browser of your choice and capture. Yeah, and that is, and that's the way you would do it before. But having it as a web browser input just makes it that much easier to work with, I think, because it's not a copy of a web page on your system. It's the actual web page. For example, the chat that you guys see right here, I've got a chat on my desktop, but it's not. But the one on my desktop is not. I mean, this one is not a capture of the one on my desktop. This is a web browser input. This is its own little web browser thingy. I've been meaning to ask what browser this uses. Does it use whatever my default browser is? I guess it must. And I bet, as John was talking about how fast it is and capturing the audio, I bet that's something that's either hindered or helped by the type of by the browser. Yeah. Interesting. All right, live versus post-production, says Giles. Which is best? Someone depends on the type of production you're creating. Well, certainly. And yeah, and in my case, I don't have a boss or a client that's telling me, Tom, we need you to do this better. It's just me, and I'm easily satisfied. vMix is Google Chrome. Okay. A match in 1972 between the Chicago West Pioneers and the Los Angeles Thunderbirds. Oh yeah, set a record for the most spectators with more than 50,000. And could have as many as 15 million TV viewers. Google Chrome, got it. And that's why, good, John. Jan, you can't have Chrome running while upgrading vMix. That makes sense. That makes sense. Cool. Well, gentlemen and lady, I need to close up shop here and move on to some other things. but it's been an absolute treat for me to be with you today. I hope you had half as much fun as I did, because I had a ton of fun. And we will come up with another great show again next week. Giles says he'll update vMix if he wants to. All right, very good. Well, I want to give my official, let me put it in the chat here. Want to welcome to John's wife. Please come back. It added a lot of richness to the show to have you there. Yeah, Martin. Just wait by the phone, Martin. Just wait. Oh, I'm teasing. I'm teasing. Good. Welcome. Welcome, Guido. Glad to have you. All right. And Blaze, am I still waiting for information on those invoices from you? Or for those invoices from you? I think I am, but if I'm not, let me know, and I'll put them together. All right, Martin will be waiting by the phone. Good deal. All right. I'm going to let this stream go on for a few more minutes in case you guys are... nobody said anything about any buffering today, but whenever you have buffering, it puts you behind. But if I cut the stream, it cuts for you immediately. It doesn't buffer out for the next 20 seconds or something like that. For some reason, you just die. So yes, Mike, we'll ship to Canada. And Rooney doesn't chase sticks. He doesn't chase balls. What is Rooney? Rooney chases squirrels. That's what Rooney likes. Thank you, Giles. Okay. Martin S. had buffering. Okay. Well, I'll let this go, and I will catch you guys on the flip side. Bye now.